Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it was sent to me by one of our admins, and the message reads like this. Hello Brother Nashi, can you please post my story as anonymous? I am a South African man who is a family man. I want to tell you my own story that happened to me. So I had this other man who was from Mozambique. This man came to our garage. The first place that he came to our dealership, he was just looking around, and he said that he was shopping around at that dealership. I was working as a salesman, so when he came, he was looking for a particular car, and at that time when he came to our dealership, he was looking for a Ford Everest. This was a 2011 model that he wanted to buy, that was still new on the market. So we then started talking, and me and him, we became very good friends, and he said that he was booked at this other hotel whilst he was staying here in South Africa, and he told me that he had a very big secret. And after some time, when one day he told me that he wanted to take me to lunch, he said that the reason why that he was in South Africa, it was because he had been sent here to South Africa by a very high-ranking politician back in Mozambique. So he was here on his behalf to purchase some of the cars here in South Africa that this high-ranking politician wanted to buy here in South Africa. But this politician didn't want to be known that he was the one who had bought those cars that he wanted to purchase in South Africa. So this man was here to buy those cars. Then me and this guy, we started talking a lot, and we became good friends, such that I even went with him to my place, because he said that the cars that he wanted to purchase, they were quite a lot, so he wanted to know if he could trust me. This man, Brother Nashi, ended up purchasing 10 cars in total from the same dealership where I was working. And when he purchased all these 10 cars, I earned a lot of money from the commission of sales from all of those cars that I sold to this guy. When he purchased the second car, he said that I should not relax, because whenever I was speaking with him, he kept on saying that your country is very good, you should open your eyes, there is so much money to be made, don't you want to be very rich? And I kept on telling him that I wanted to be rich, but how could I end up being rich? Because even though I wanted to own several restaurants, but I have tried to approach several banks in search of loan, like to start a business, but since I didn't have a house that I could offer to the bank as a form of collateral, the bank was not willing to accept my house, because it was not in an environment whereby they could resell that house. So I told him that maybe I was born to be poor and to die as a poor man. Then he said that the reason why you are poor, it is because you do not want to think out of the box. He said that the reason why you are poor, it is because you do not want to think out of the box. You need to think out of the box. This is what he kept on telling me. And he said that he had these other politicians that wanted to buy a lot of cars here in South Africa, but they always wanted a middleman that will buy the cars for them. Then the cars will be taken to Mozambique, and he wanted to make a fortune out of that politician's huge bank account. So he wanted my help. He said that these cars that he wanted to purchase the next time, he wanted them to be transported in the most expensive way possible, and he was going to give me a cut. I agreed. The kickback that he gave me for the first 10 cars, it was around 12,000 rands. All that I had to do, I had to sign off some papers and to look for a local truck that will take these cars not through their normal route going straight to Mozambique, but they were supposed to go on a long journey through Zim, then after Zim to Mozambique. So this was the way that he was going to make a lot of money, because he would be charging all of these politicians triple times the amount that he was supposed to charge if he was going to take these cars from South Africa straight to Mozambique. After this deal was done, my wife was so exciting. after this deal was done, my wife was so excited, and I can say that she was the one who kept on pushing me, telling me that I was supposed to create a relationship with this man so that he can help us start a business of our own. I always had that dream to own a McDonald's franchise restaurant or a KFC one, but the money that was needed, it was just too much for us. Like, we had approached the bank, but the bank had told us that we could not afford to repay the loan that was needed for us to get this franchise. But after I had spoken with this man, it seemed as if God was willing, and God indeed was still alive, because there was great hope. We honestly thought that we were going to make it. I kept being in contact with that man who was from Mozambique. He then promised me that he would assist me with about 2 million rands. He said that there was this other deal that he wanted to do with me that would require some things, like they would require a South African to be the middleman, and I was going to get something like 2 million rands. So this was more than enough, because there was this other franchise that resell car batteries. We had spoken with that company, so we thought that finally we were going to open up our little shop. Then I will stop working as a car salesman. Then everything in my life was going to be okay. That man one day called me, and he told me that it was an emergency and I had to travel to Mozambique to collect the money. But I was afraid, but the hunger to become rich overtook all of my thinking. So I left my wife back home and I went to Mozambique. When I went to Mozambique, I then stayed at that man's beautiful house that was in the city. Then we traveled to his village. Without my knowledge, I was made to say an oath that the spiritualist only spoke in Portuguese. He could not speak English or any other language. Then there was a breakdown in communication. But what that man said, that I was supposed to do some prayers, but these prayers that I had to do, I'll be speaking to my ancestors. But as I'll be speaking to my ancestors, I should be holding my child, who was about 8 months at that time, who was my last born. When I did these rituals, I was told that after I had done those rituals, then magically money will appear in my bank account, and the money that was going to appear in my bank account, it will be 2 million rands. I was so excited. Just when I thought that this was all that was needed from me so that I can be given this money, everything was changed, because on the day that we were supposed to return back to my country, that man said that he had received sad news that had saddened him.